Imagine this, you finally reach your golden years. The children are grown, work obligations are behind you, and you finally have the freedom you spent decades waiting for. You wake up without an alarm clock, sip your morning coffee without rushing, and plan your day around what you enjoy instead of what you must do. But freedom, as sweet as it is, can be tricky. Many seniors find that while they have the time to visit others, not every visit brings joy. In fact, some visits leave you drained, unsettled, or even questioning your peace of mind. One wrong doorbell ring one afternoon in the wrong company, and you may walk home with a heavy heart instead of a lighter one. That is why it is so important to know which homes you should avoid, no matter how free you are. Because the truth is, not every invitation is worth accepting, and not every open door deserves your knock. As we age, our social circles often shrink. Friends move away, neighbors change, and sometimes loneliness tempts us to seek company anywhere we can find it. Seniors like Margaret, who is 74, often say, "I don't care where I go as long as I see people." But the reality is that where you go matters deeply. Margaret once spent an afternoon with an old acquaintance who spent hours criticizing others. She left not only drained but with a cloud of negativity that lasted for days. Stories like hers remind us that our golden years are too precious to waste in spaces that rob us of peace. Our time is valuable, our energy is finite, and protecting our emotional well-being is just as important as protecting our physical health. This is why recognizing the types of homes and people we should avoid becomes not just social wisdom, but a form of self-care. In this video, we will uncover 4 kinds of homes that seniors should think twice about visiting. Each one comes with a story, a lesson, and a practical reminder to help you protect your freedom, your peace, and your health. And before we dive in, I would love to hear from you. Do you already have a rule about whose home you avoid? Maybe you've learned a hard lesson about visiting the wrong place. Share your experience in the comments. And while you're there, please remember to like this video and subscribe so you never miss another conversation about protecting your well-being and making the most of your senior years. In the next part, we will begin with the first type of home you should avoid, and you might be surprised, it is not always the place you expect. Point 1. The home filled with constant negativity. The first type of home to avoid is the one where negativity hangs in the air like heavy smoke. You know the kind of place where the moment you step in, complaints begin. The chairs are too hard, the neighbors are too noisy, the government is failing, and no matter the topic, it all circles back to gloom. For seniors like David, who is 78, visiting his cousin Tom became a habit because he felt obligated. Tom had always been family, and David thought he should make the effort. But each visit left him drained. Tom would talk for hours about how terrible the world was, how hopeless life seemed, and how nothing ever improved. David realized that after each visit, he carried that heavy energy home, snapping at his wife and struggling to sleep at night. Science supports what David experienced. Studies on emotional contagion show that moods are highly contagious. Spending just 1 hour around negativity can influence your own brain chemistry, raising stress hormones like cortisol and leaving you more anxious or irritable. Seniors are especially vulnerable because stress not only affects mood, but also blood pressure, digestion, and even immune function. When your golden years should be about peace, letting negativity seep into your day is like allowing someone else to rearrange your heart and mind against your will. So, what is the solution? Protect your peace fiercely. If someone's home is always filled with criticism and complaints, limit your visits or gently decline. Call instead of stopping by. Suggest meeting in a neutral place like a park or cafe where the energy is different. Remember, you are not obligated to sit in spaces that steal your joy. As David eventually told his cousin Tom, "I love you, but I need to keep my mind light." That decision transformed his days, reminding him that freedom in retirement is not just about time, it is about choosing where to invest your spirit. Point 2. The home where gossip rules the conversation. The second kind of home to avoid is the one where gossip is the main dish served. Many seniors have a friend or neighbor who thrives on telling stories about others who got divorced, whose children are failing, or what mistake the pastor made last Sunday. On the surface, gossip may seem harmless, even entertaining, but it comes with hidden costs. Dolores, a 72-year-old grandmother, shared that her visits to her old friend Clara always left her unsettled. Clara would lean in with a hushed voice and say, "Did you hear what happened to so-and-so?" Hours later, Dolores realized she had no peace. She worried about people she hardly knew, and she even caught herself repeating the gossip to her daughter, something she regretted deeply. Psychologists explain that gossip may trigger a brief sense of connection, but it erodes trust and fuels anxiety. For seniors whose social networks are already smaller, the last thing you need is the burden of carrying other people's secrets or half-truths. Gossip homes are traps because what is said about others today may be said about you tomorrow. And even worse, constantly feeding on gossip can subtly change the way you view your own family and friends, planting seeds of suspicion where none should exist. Dolores found her peace when she quietly reduced her visits. She suggested walks in the park with Clara, instead gently steering conversations toward shared memories and positive updates. Sometimes Clara resisted, but Dolores realized her responsibility was not to fix her friend's habits, but to protect her own spirit. She later told her church group, "I would rather spend my afternoons talking about the blessings of the day than the faults of others." That wisdom kept her relationships clean, her mind lighter, and her conscience clear. If you find yourself regularly in the company of gossip, pause and ask, "Is this helping me grow, or is it pulling me down?" The answer will guide your steps. And if you need to create distance, remember that it is not unkind. It is simply an act of self-preservation. If these stories remind you of someone in your own life, I would love to hear how you handle it. Do you find it hard to say no, or have you found a gentle way to protect your peace? Share your thoughts in the comments because your wisdom may encourage another senior facing the same struggle. And if you are finding this video helpful, please take a moment to like it. That small click helps us reach more seniors who need these reminders. Point 3. The home where conflict never ends. The third type of home to avoid is the one where conflict is always waiting. You may have experienced this already, a house where voices are raised more than they are calm, where arguments flare between spouses, children, or even roommates. For a senior, stepping into that environment can feel like walking onto a battlefield where you are not even a soldier, but you still leave with wounds. Take the story of Anita, who is 76. She often visited her daughter's home, hoping to spend time with her grandchildren. But every time she arrived, she was caught in the middle of her daughter and son-in-law's constant disputes. Sometimes the arguments were over money, sometimes over parenting, but they were loud, sharp, and unsettling. Anita never wanted to take sides, but her silence made her feel complicit, and her presence often seemed to make the couple even more tense. After each visit, Anita drove home with a knot in her stomach, her peace completely shattered. Science shows why this environment is harmful. Exposure to conflict, even when you are not directly involved, triggers the body's stress response. Blood pressure rises, heart rate increases, and the brain releases stress hormones that can linger for hours. For seniors who may already face health conditions like hypertension or heart concerns, sitting in the middle of conflict is more than unpleasant. It can be physically dangerous. Anita eventually learned that protecting her health meant setting clear boundaries. She still wanted to see her grandchildren, so she invited them to her home more often, or suggested outings like going to the park or attending church together. By doing so, she preserved her bond with her family without sacrificing her emotional stability. Her advice to friends was simple: love does not mean putting yourself in the line of fire. Sometimes love means stepping aside. If you find yourself walking into homes where arguments dominate, remember that you have a choice. Protecting your peace is not abandoning your loved ones. It is choosing a healthier way to connect. Point 4. The home where unhealthy habits rule. The fourth type of home to avoid is the one where unhealthy habits dominate the environment. For example, you may know someone whose house is filled with smoke, constant drinking, or unhealthy eating. These homes are difficult because they may belong to people you truly care about. But every visit exposes you to behaviors that harm your body or tempt you into habits you have tried to leave behind. Consider Jack, a 79-year-old retired bus driver. He often visited his old friend Eddie, who was known for his hospitality, but also for his love of whiskey and chain smoking. Eddie's living room was always hazy with smoke, and his kitchen counters were covered in greasy snacks. At first, Jack thought, "I can handle it. It's just a few hours." But after each visit, his chest felt tight, his throat burned, and his own cravings for alcohol, something he had fought years to control, began to stir again. Medical experts are clear second-hand smoke is not just irritating, it is dangerous, especially for seniors with weaker lungs or existing conditions. Exposure can trigger asthma, worsen chronic bronchitis, and increase the risk of heart disease. Alcohol-heavy environments can also be risky, encouraging overindulgence or making it harder to maintain healthier routines. Even food habits matter, because sitting in a place where fried foods and sugary treats are the norm can subtly influence your own choices, making it harder to stay committed to balance. Jack eventually decided to invite Eddie out for lunch instead of visiting his home. At first, Eddie resisted, but Jack insisted, saying, "I want to spend time with you, but I need to stay healthy." Surprisingly, Eddie agreed, and their friendship continued without Jack sacrificing his well-being. The lesson here is powerful. You cannot always change another person's habits, but you can choose your environment. Your golden years deserve clean air, uplifting company, and surroundings that strengthen, not weaken your health. Final thoughts. As we look back, the message is clear. Your golden years are far too precious to spend in places that rob you of peace, joy, and health. We began with a home filled with constant negativity, where complaints and criticism spread like wildfire. Spending time in such an environment leaves you heavy-hearted and even affects your physical well-being. Then we spoke of the home where gossip is the main attraction, where secrets and half-truths slip into your spirit and leave you unsettled. We also explored the home where conflict never ends, where raised voices and arguments take a toll not only on your nerves, but also on your body. Finally, we saw the risks of visiting homes where unhealthy habits rule, exposing you to smoke, alcohol, and choices that slowly chip away at your health. Each of these homes represents more than a physical space. They represent the emotional and spiritual atmosphere you choose to enter. Seniors like David, Dolores, Anita, and Jack remind us that we always have a choice. Even when love or loyalty tempts us to keep visiting, wisdom teaches us to set boundaries. Protecting your well-being does not mean you care less for others. It means you care enough for yourself to stay strong, joyful, and healthy. Remember, the freedom of retirement is not just about filling your calendar. It is about choosing experiences that add life to your years, not take it away. Think of your time and energy like a bank account. Each visit either deposits peace or withdraws it. If you spend too much in the wrong places, your account runs dry. But when you invest in uplifting company, peaceful environments, and loving connections, your days feel richer and your heart feels lighter. So let me ask you, my friend, which homes do you avoid? Have you had to make the hard decision to step back from negativity, gossip, conflict, or unhealthy environments? Your story might help another senior who is struggling to make that same choice. Please share your thoughts in the comments below. I would love to read them, and I know others will too. And if this video spoke to you, please give it a like so more seniors can find this message. Subscribe to our channel, Senior Ways, because each week we bring you stories, wisdom, and practical advice to help you live your best years with clarity, joy, and strength. Remember, your golden years are yours to protect. Do not waste them in homes that drain your soul. Instead, walk boldly into spaces that lift you, higher places where your laughter, peace, and health can thrive. You have earned your freedom, now use it wisely.